Hello friends, Adam here with FED. Today we're going to talk about what I think might be one of the most frustrating chapters in all of Fire Emblem, and that is found in Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. So Radiant Dawn is one of my favorite games in the series, or maybe it is my favorite game in the series. It depends on what I've played most recently, which day you ask me. Just depends. This game has a lot of really awesome mechanics, a lot of really awesome characters, a lot of amazing chapters that I look on really fondly. But there are two that come to mind instantly as chapters that I really, really dislike. And one of them is Part 1, Chapter 9. In this chapter, you only have access to the main character, Micaiah, and another character, the Black Knight, who is super strong. He is in literally zero danger on this map. No one can hit him or deal damage to him. And Micaiah is very vulnerable. She dies to everything. She dies to literally everything. If she hits her average stats, which chances are you won't. Some stats will be higher, some stats will be lower. That's how averages work. But if she did hit her average stats in every area, she would, I believe she still gets one-rounded by most enemies on the map. She might survive a couple here or there. But on average, Micaiah is sitting at about 13 speed, 5 defense, and 22 HP. And that is enough speed to not get doubled by most of the enemies. I think the archers can still double her. And this is talking about on hard mode. Normal mode and easy mode, this chapter is just you battle save every turn. So you just save every turn and just kind of get lucky and figure it out. On hard mode, you can't do that. So you have to, it's a lot of resetting unless you get lucky or something, right? But anyways, the way the stats work out is Micaiah generally gets one shot by like the fighters, or she gets doubled by other things that kill her in one round of combat. So she really can't survive anything. And her damage output is a moot because she doesn't kill anything in one hit on this map. Unless you set up some like critical stuff, or maybe you give her resolve, which is kind of goofy, which I don't know, that actually might be like one of the plays to do. Give her a little bit of extra avoid with resolve, and then she won't get doubled as well, but she'll still just die. If you're in resolve range, she's just gonna die. Anyways, not only that, you have this really weak unit you have to protect with this really strong unit, but the strong unit isn't allowed to rescue the weak unit for whatever reason. Micaiah is just too proud to be rescued by the Black Knight, so you can just win the chapter. Nope, you have to, you are forced to use both of them. And not only that, not only all that stuff that makes it so hard that if you could see all the enemies, you could plan and move Micaiah into the correct places to not get attacked. And there's a lot of terrain on the map that slows movement down, so it's easy to get out of range of enemies. But you can't see the enemies. This entire map is covered in Fog of War, so you can only see a couple of spaces away from you, away from either character. So you're going to get surprised, and there are reinforcements that appear. So you may think you're in a safe spot, and then a reinforcement appears, and then you have a huge problem to figure it out for your next turn. It just feels kind of scummy and unfair. I don't like this chapter, if you can't tell. But now let's talk about things you can do to make it a little easier on yourself. So I played through this as part of my Radiant Dawn hard mode Iron Man just a couple days ago, or I guess it was last week now. And we'll be continuing that Iron Man tonight, by the way. So tune into that. Anyways, things you can do to make this slightly less torturous on yourself, slightly easier for yourself, is to train Micaiah. This is literally the only reason to train Micaiah, like at all, is this chapter. Sure, you could argue like some late game staff utility or whatever, but she's going to have that pretty much regardless. Because she promotes no matter what. It's forced promotion. She's going to have C rank staffs on promotion no matter what. So she's going to have physic at least. So it doesn't really matter on that front. And even barely trained, her magic stat is like, okay. But Part 1, Chapter 9 is the reason to train Micaiah. So you can see here on screen, I have her at level 18 with 29 HP after using a Seraph Robe. and she has 13 speed. So you get a couple items that I honestly think that developers almost intended for you to use on hard mode on Micaiah to make this chapter playable. So you, in part 1, before this chapter, you get a Seraph robe and you get a Draco shield. I didn't give Micaiah the Draco shield. I gave it to someone else to make other things a little more reliable. But I did give her a Seraph robe here. So she's at 29 HP. With 29 HP and 3 defense, she can survive 1 hit from any enemy on the map. She can't survive 2 from any enemy. So she gets doubled. She's still in trouble. But she can survive 1 hit from every enemy on the map. With 13 speed, if you can reach like 14 or 15 speed, that's even better. She doesn't get doubled by anything at that point. But if you can reach 13 speed, she doesn't get doubled by most enemies. There's only a couple, namely I believe the archers and maybe some of the soldiers can double her. So she can survive. So essentially this makes it, with this stat spread, she can survive 1 round of combat. And that is really big for this chapter. Other than that, that's the big problem. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot to tell you. I'm sure there are consistent strategies. You do have to kill all of the... There's specific enemies that you have to kill on the map to make the final boss of the map appear, and then you have to kill that guy to win the map. But it basically involves just moving around the map in a circle one way or the other and killing everything in your way with the Black Knight, while also trying to keep Micaiah safe. But the problem is Micaiah is going to be attacked from behind. So if you keep her behind the Black Knight, there's probably going to be some enemies that appear. But if you have her go in front of the Black Knight, there's going to be enemies that are there, of course, too. So it's a whole cluster, and it's really hard to deal with, and it really comes down to trial and error, which is a really frustrating way to play Fire Emblem, in my opinion. So, final thoughts. This chapter is a pain in the butt, because Fog of War, you cannot... it's near impossible to have a Micaiah that actually is has any survivability unless you give her a bunch of stat boosters, and even then it's like barely any survivability. She's still she still gets 2-shot. You have to do some like mad rigging to get her there. And again, this is talking about hard mode. On normal mode, easy mode, you have infinite saving capabilities. You can literally save whenever you want on player phase. So that it's barely a problem. You just make it through a turn, or like you save at the beginning of every turn, and you'll eventually get to the end of the map, whether by dumb luck or just trial and error. You'll get there. But on hard mode, you don't have that option, so you're just forced to replay the chapter over and over and over. Kind of a pain. Kind of a pain. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe for more Fire Emblem discussions like this one. And make sure to comment your thoughts. How do you feel about Part 1, Chapter 9 of Radiant Dawn? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? How would you change it to make it better? I think one simple change that I would make to make it better would be just make all the enemies a lot weaker. Because no matter what, they're going to be really easy for the Black Knight to kill, because they already are. So just make them weaker and he'll still stomp them. But it gives Micaiah an opportunity to survive. Even make them like maybe mostly magic enemies or something. I know it doesn't really fit narratively with the story, but if you did make them like mostly magic enemies, then Micaiah would have a chance of surviving because her resistance is generally pretty good. But that's just one thought. I'd love to hear yours. How would you fix this chapter, or how would you make it more fun to play? Again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time, friends.